Coming up today, South Korea is on alert for another North Korean provocation as Pyongyang marks a key military anniversary. President Park Geun-hye convenes her cabinet a day earlier than usual to discuss economic countermeasures to Brexit and ways to shore up security in the face of constant threats north of the border. Plus, a weekend of terror in Bangladesh and Iraq. 20 people, mostly foreigners, are brutally murdered in Dhaka. More than 120 people are killed in Baghdad. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world at 6 a.m. on Monday, July 4th, here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to start with the latest threat to South Korea. The South Korean military is on high alert for possible provocations linked to North Korea's recent decision to officially observe the founding of its strategic rocket force. Pyongyang has fired off several ballistic missiles over the past few months. Our Kim Yeon-bin starts us off.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff on Sunday said that Pyongyang could stage some sort of provocations to mark the designated founding day of a strategic rocket force, which also comes a day before U.S. Independence Day on the 4th of July. During the Supreme People's Assembly last month, Pyongyang designated July 3rd as Strategic Rocket Force Day. Marking its first observance on Sunday, Pyongyang threatened to turn the U.S. into a sea of fire if Washington threatens its independence. The JCS say there are currently no signs of imminent provocations, but are maintaining a high state of readiness. The regime has a history of launching provocations during the U.S. Independence Day holiday. On July 4, 2006, North Korea launched the Taepodong-2 long-range missile, and in 2009, it fired 2 intermediate-range Rodong missiles. South Korean military says North Korea could conduct another Musdan, Rodong, or Scud missile launch this time, in a sign of the regime's defiance of Washington and the international community. Seoul says there's also a possibility North Korea could conduct provocations along the northern limit line, as they have detected military movements in the region. Recently, Pyongyang deployed dozens of troops on previously deserted islands, as well as several multiple rocket launchers and surveillance equipment. Kim Yeon-bin, Arirang News.
The United States has added 3 Russian enterprises to its blacklist for allegedly providing assistance to North Korea's WMD programs. According to Russian news agency TASS, Washington has prohibited its federal agencies from having business relations with the companies on the grounds of the Iran, North Korea and Syria Non-Proliferation Act. The 3 enterprises in question are the 150th Aircraft Repair Plant, Mechanical Engineering Design Bureau, and the Kunsevo Design Bureau. The State Department said 38 firms from 10 countries, including China, Malaysia and Belarus, were also added to that list. North Korea was enlisted on the U.S. Non-Proliferation Act in 2006. President Park Geun-hye will hold her weekly cabinet meeting on Monday, a day earlier than usual. The meeting has been bumped from its regular slot by a government Q&A session that is set for Tuesday. Among the subjects to be discussed on Monday will be finalising the list of officials to face the media and the public in the Q&A, as it's the first such event for the 20th National Assembly. During the cabinet meeting, the focus will be on economic measures necessary to reduce the potential impact of Brexit. President Park will also continue to emphasise the importance of reform efforts. Security, as you'd imagine, will also be another key topic. The President is expected to receive updates from the nation's counter-terrorism body following the recent terror attacks in Turkey and Bangladesh. Staying with domestic politics, and some changes are brewing at Korea's National Assembly, especially in regards to lawmakers' hiring of aides and interns. This comes after the main opposition Minju Party discovered one of its lawmakers hired her daughter as an intern and her brother as an aide. The Assembly's Secretary General Yu-gun says the new regulations on the hiring will be formulated by the end of this month. That will require about 2 weeks of meetings and extensive research on related cases. Currently, There are insufficient rules on consequences of such acts. Lawmakers will need time to iron out details on the punishment for such misdemeanors, as well as how far out among relatives or close friends to set the rules. A series of bomb attacks have killed scores of people in the commercial areas of the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. Local media say at least 120 people were killed, 187 injured, and 12 are still missing after a car bomb exploded in a district of the city. The area was targeted and it was busy with families late at night who had been breaking their fast for the holy month of Ramadan. The so-called Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the attack in an online statement. They said they had deliberately targeted Shiite Muslims. A few hours later, another bomb followed in a market in Al-Shabab, a Shia district, killing at least 5 people there. The two attacks come just a week after Iraqi security forces recaptured the city of Fallujah from ISIS. Iraq's Prime Minister has declared 3 days of national mourning. And it has now been confirmed that the 20 hostages killed during Saturday's terror attack in Bangladesh were mostly foreigners. The nationalities of the victims have been disclosed and include many Italians and Japanese nationals. Hwang Ho-jin reports.
13 hostages were rescued when security forces stormed the Holly Artisan Bakery Cafe in Dhaka early Saturday morning after a 12-hour standoff. But 20 more hostages were found dead. Local authorities have released the nationalities of the victims: 9 Italians, 7 Japanese, 1 Indian, 2 Bangladeshis, and 1 U.S. citizen of Bangladeshi descent. Most of them were hacked to death with a machete. 2 policemen were also killed during the shootout. Of the attackers, all Bangladeshis, 6 were shot dead and 1 captured alive. The attack began Friday evening when the attackers stormed the bakery cafe with guns, sharp weapons, and explosives. Local media reported that the attackers tortured captives who were unable to recite the Quran. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack through its media branch Amaq. It also posted photos of the dead hostages and the interior of the cafe. Experts say the ISIS attackers may have chosen the Holly Artisan Bakery for maximum global impact, as it has been a popular meeting place for expats and diplomats. The Korean government expressed its condolences to the families of the victims and strongly condemned the attack in an official statement, calling it a serious crime against humanity and civilization that can never be justified. Hwang Ho-jin, Arirang News.
Now, in other news, China will hold naval drills this week around the disputed Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. According to Beijing's Maritime Safety Administration, the drills will be held from July 5th through the 11th. All other ships will be banned from entering the area during that time as well. While the Paracels are also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan, China says it's within Beijing's rights to hold the drills, as the island have been Chinese territory since ancient times. Tension is on the rise ahead of a court ruling on July 12th in The Hague concerning waters disputed by China and the Philippines. Turning to U.S. politics, the Democratic Party's likely presidential nominee Hillary Clinton met with the FBI over the weekend. Subject of discussion, her email use while serving as the Secretary of State. According to her campaign spokesperson, the 3.5-hour interview was voluntary. Clinton has been under an investigation for allegedly mishandling classified and top-secret information while using a private email server, which for some voters has cast shadow over her trustworthiness. The U.S. Justice Department will have to determine whether Clinton's use of a private server constituted crime, but there is no strict timeline on how long that will take. There are 3 weeks left until a Democratic Party convention where Clinton is expected to be formally nominated as the party's presidential candidate in the race for the White House. Now, Koreans will be able to check the status of all their personal bank accounts on a single website by the end of the year. Korea's Financial Services Commission says an integrated account management system will go online in early December, accessible at accountinfo.co.kr. The site will give an overview of all the users' bank accounts, including those that have been inactive for more than 1 year. This will allow the user to easily transfer any remaining balances and even close their accounts. The account info site will require users to verify their identity through a digital security certificate or a mobile phone registered in their own name. The service, however, will not be available to foreigners and, at least initially, or people under the age of 18. Now, when you're on the move, looking straight ahead and checking your smartphone could be the difference between a healthy life and a nasty accident. According to a team from the Korea Expressway Corporation and the Korea Transport Institute, pedestrians multitasking with their devices had slower reaction speeds. Those free of such distractions had a clear head start when the pedestrian signs changed. On top of that, phone walkers were found to move slower than those with their eyes set straight. Peripheral vision is narrowed as well, with just 35% of the former group able to watch out for vehicles approaching from the side, compared with more than half of the latter group. The results were based on data collected from surveillance footage of some 8,300 pedestrians at crossings in 10 busy streets in Seoul. Now we have some welcome news for teenagers, but also grown-ups looking to quickly get rid of their pesky acne. A team of local researchers have found a substance in eggplants that can help prevent or even cure pimples without the side effects of the existing treatments. Our Kim Myo-gyun has the details.
In the past, treatments for pimples mostly relied on antibiotics and retinoids, which are a class of chemical compounds that are known for their ability to regulate cell proliferation. However, their usage has some limitations, as patients can develop a resistance to antibiotics and retinoids can cause painful skin irritations. Recently, a team of researchers from Korea's Seoul National University Hospital announced an interesting discovery. An effective pimple-curing substance called lupiol can be extracted from eggplants.
Lupiol is proved to be effective in controlling many factors that cause pimples, such as reducing the secretion of sebum and bacteria. It can be useful in both preventing and curing pimples.
Lupiol can be easily absorbed into the skin and is effective in treating damaged skin cells. Unlike many pimple and acne treatments currently available on the market, it is known to have no unwanted side effects when applied to the skin. The team said that they are still in the clinical stages of developing a new acne treatment, but they are certain that the new discovery will be helpful for people suffering from pimples. Kim Myo-gyun, Arirang News.
Now, a banquet held by officials from the Joseon Dynasty 280 years ago was reenacted recently in Korea's central city of Cheongju. It was modelled after a historical image that's one of the city's tangible cultural properties. Our Park Se-young has the details.
A group of elderly men wearing Korean traditional hats and robes sits in a circle, each with a small table of food in front of him. The group is gathered to reenact a banquet depicted in a painting from 1730. The picture shows the differences between a meeting of lower-level officials and one for senior officials. On the right side of a pavilion, male dancers perform the Cheongmu, a court dance with elements of mask dance. On the left, female dancers perform the Pokurak ball game dance. Both dances are classified as court dances to be performed during royal banquets, and it was quite unusual for them to be performed at private events. Outside the pavilion, musicians and members of the general public gathered to watch the banquet, illustrating the informal, relaxed atmosphere of the late Joseon Dynasty. The picture is an example of the high standard of documentation in the early 18th century. And through the reenactment, people of today are able to experience the life and culture of the past. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, most of Korea will have some heavy monsoon rain today. Southern and western parts of the country will also be buffered around with some strong gusty winds. Temperature-wise, we're going to see the mercury top out in the mid-20s in most parts. But not much sunshine will be around, and you'll definitely need to keep an umbrella with you, like those people. The first typhoon of the season may also affect Korea over the course of the week. Typhoon Nepatak is currently off the coast of Guam, but is forecast to move toward Taiwan in the coming days. But it could have an indirect impact on Korea over the coming days. Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday morning here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you, as always, for watching, and we'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. The next bulletin coming up at 10 a.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.